I haven't done much. I haven't done much with politics lately. I'm very upset about the way North Carolina politically is going, the leadership, the nation, actually. Um, so, and I'm older too, but I'm still, wanting to know, curious, concerned about outcomes in politics and national leadership.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
we're
can't
glad
do,
you're with us.
my mind's engaged, you know, but
Good.
the key is I just turned 69 years old.
Okay.
So,
Happy birthday.
thank you. Thank you. But I'm not sure if I can do anything physically anymore. So,
Well, you can get in line there. Uh, Loretta, you want to check in?
Yes, hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Loretta. This is the first time I'm attending a meeting. I had a great weekend. Civically engaged within the Charlotte community, but just registered just to have a sense of, what is being discussed, what is done. But again, like I said, this is my first time. I've never attended a meeting before.
We're glad to have you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Uh, Tanya, you want to check in?
Certainly, and it's Tianyan. I said when I heard the pause, I said she's trying to figure out it, how it's pronounced. It's okay, I'm used to it. But so it's Tianyan Martin. I am the political action co-chair for the NAACP. Also a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I've been spending, and I'm in the chapter here in Monroe. I spend most of my evening and days sort of resetting and preparing and educating individuals on what's going on within the political landscape. Lately, we've been really heavily focused on the Griffin list and making sure people are aware of what's happening, giving information on how to access the list, actionable steps they can do afterwards, and just preparing for the municipal elections and everything that's upcoming. And I also should mention I'm a member of the Black Women Alliance, and we do civic education for women and really all community members here in the Monroe area. So I haven't been in a meeting lately. This is my first one in a while, but I was heavily engaged before. And so I'm circling back because, as we all know, it is a chaotic time, and as much information and updates as we can be connected to, as many resources as we can get to help get the information out is a need. So I'm glad to be here with you all this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So glad you're here. Marianne.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Levine. I'm up in Cornelius right now. And I joined the Poor People's Campaign last summer. So this is new activity for me. But for those of you that are also relatively new, we had an event at the end of January that was a collaborative kind of networking event that went pretty well. We had about 30 people attending and talked about issues around immigration. Um, let's see, education, like voter
Healthcare.
education,
Yeah.
um, things like that. So we'll be doing those about once a quarter,
Once a
George, right?
quarter. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, but
Okay.
that's it for me.
Thank you. We we lost Miko. We had Miko here. Um, you guys are relatively new, and Miko is another long timer like me. So I was going to lean on her a little bit. But I'm George Friday. I live in Shelby, and I've been part of the Poor People's Campaign since, I don't know, 2017 or something. It goes way back to HK on J days. Um, and I had a Twilight Zone experience today. Oh, good, Reverend Laura, another long timer. Uh, I was sitting here doing work on my laptop, and the time read 12:19, and it read 12:19 for quite a bit, and I didn't pay much attention until the sun started going down. And then I restarted my computer and it said 6:20. So that was very, very trippy. Like, what's going on? It was 12:19 for what, 4 or 5 hours. Um, Glad to be here and looking forward to us talking. Well, dang. Uh, Laura was here and now she's gone. I know I let people in. I didn't, you know, throw them out. I hope she calls back. Um, I do want to talk a little bit, Marianne, about that meeting we had at Galilee Ministries and the next one we'll have. But first, I want to talk about the event today at Charlotte Government Center. There were similar rallies, actions. We weren't going to be too loud or too in somebody's face, but there were event in Charlotte, Greensboro, uh, either Jacksonville or Wilmington, and
Was
Asheville.
there was there one in Durham too?
Nope, there wasn't one in Durham. The
Oh,
triangle is all covered by Raleigh. Was anybody on the meeting at that event? You, Tanyan? No?
No, I was not at there yet.
Dang.
I know, right? Shame on me. And I knew about it, but
No,
I
no,
was
no.
unable
It's
to get
not. We don't do shame thing.
there.
We don't be bothered. Um, I wasn't there because I don't have a car or the physical ability to do much. So we'll have to hear from somebody else. I know that over 500 people were registered. Um, and the the goal of the work is um, to protect the votes of the 60,000 that weren't counted.
Yeah.
Do you have any more details about describing the situation and why we have a Supreme Court? The state Supreme Court did something that helped and something that didn't help. I think, one day after the next. Do you know anything about it, Tinyan?
So I know on the 7th of February it was dismissed, but it was and I don't know how far back you want me to go with like the information of it. But I know so the case was brought Jefferson Griffin challenging the election win for Allison Griggs. 65,000 votes are in question. Most of those
Still?
votes are, can you hear me?
Yeah, are they 65,000 in question still?
Yeah, so I was just going back to the original. That's why I
Okay.
said I don't know how far you want me to go back, but there was it was dismissed on the 7th, but there was an appeal. And so that's where we're sort of now the appeal process. I don't know the exact number. I think it's down. I don't know the exact number. I have the document. I have over 1,200 pages of those votes that are still on there. I'm not sure if there is like, and I just got this list I want to say one day last week. And we've been going through it because we had a Zoom with New Rural Project. And then we got the updated list, 1,200 pages. And so they're sort of still working through it. I don't know how I can tell you the exact number, but so there was the appeal that sort of sent us back. And so, that's where the rallies and all the education is coming from to make sure that people are still aware of what's going on individually about checking your list.
Right.
Okay.
I have a question. It is, in general about the situation. It's my understanding that all North Carolinians who vote in the state, their home state, must show their ID. And I'm wondering theoretically, if that is the fact, well, I don't know if it's a law. Anyway, how does that fit into the 60,000 votes in question, 65 vote thousand?
I know that Red, Wine, and Blue had information about that last year, and I know that I voted absentee, and I did have to include a copy of the front and back of my license
Yes,
along with my voting. And now that Real ID is supposed to be the law, I don't know what it means for me. I guess when I renew my license, there'll be some kind of, you know, bioscan or something invasive and stupid. Um, if
I
anybody else has more information about Real ID or certain voting restrictions, and I call them restrictions, y'all let us know. I do know that a good number of people showed up in Charlotte today. Here's something from the paper or whatever. This is Marshall Park. Y'all know where this is, downtown. And the Charlotte Observer. And there's several hundred people. So we did good. There were
excellent.
speakers here and a good sound system that we had in place. We had marshals, people who are trained to do peacekeeping. And it looks like that was a pretty good crowd. So there probably wasn't any trouble, no counter protesters, no people trying to, sabotage stuff. So that's a good action. Okay. Y'all being new, um, I will encourage you to go to the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign website or either the Poor People's Campaign website because some of the original documents, the Poor People's Campaign was birthed based on a report that was done several years ago. And I want to say it was called The Souls of Something. And it was an audit based on how many of our states have people that are living in poverty, and there was students and families. So those were the numbers that things were based on. We have our core principles that we work on. It's poverty, systemic racism, war and militarism, ecological devastation, and the false moral narrative of um, religious nationalism. So those are the things that we try to counter with education and programming and all that good stuff. So our meeting at the end of last month at Galilee Ministries brought together community partners, uh, people who know healthcare for all, people who know Mecklenburg County education, people who are working for immigrant rights and migrant rights, folks who are working on civic engagement and protecting the vote. And there was an immigrant rights lawyer there who spoke for a bit. One of the things that came out of that, and you can remind me some if I forget, Marianne, or Dr. Laura. Hey, Laura. Glad you're here.
Thanks. Good to be
We
here.
thought about food deserts and getting high quality food to low income areas of Mecklenburg County. So that there was a farmers market that Samantha let me know about before she left. And I planned to do today was reaching out to that farmers market to see, if you ever Well, I don't know what to call it. I lived in Baltimore for several years, and there are people that called Arabbers. They're guys with wagons and a horse, big time horses, and they come around and they would have produce that they would sell. Um, and that was how people in low income community would get some, something that was better than going to the Safeway. And because the Safeway was miles away, if you didn't have a car, you're in trouble. So I wanted to find out about that, but they weren't working today. I just got voicemail. So I'll try them, later. The goal is to identify a source of not just produce, but hopefully food for some of the places that are dealing with food deserts. And I was on a meeting this weekend about immigrant rights, things like Trump intending to use Guantanamo to house people who are being sent away. One thing that was pointed out is it seems that people have to have warrants or have a criminal violation to be targeted for deportation. So if someone doesn't have a criminal violation, they're okay. But it's not like they can negotiate that with an ICE officer. An ICE person is going to take them away. Maybe they can get a hearing later, but no. So the best thing to do for people who are not documented is don't open your door, don't engage with any ICE agents or, and sometimes the sheriff department is doing that work. But what they mentioned, folk from, I think it was Philadelphia, is that the Presbyterian Church, where they're number one, Philadelphia is a sanctuary city. I don't know if Charlotte is or not, but as a sanctuary city, their Presbyterian and the UU churches will shelter people, and we're doing trainings on, what are your rights, know your rights training, and also, what to do if you're in that situation, so that people have prepared written, written documents that have their legal resource for immigration support, uh, someone who can help with take their children if their children are U.S. citizens, were born here, whether that's being challenged or not. They don't. If they take you away, they don't have to take your children away. If you say this is the person that will take my children, and so many other things that are in the training. And I wondered if we had churches that could do that. And Joanne at Galilee is one person that I'm going to talk to about that. And I'm sure they will, because Galilee Church is welcoming to people who have migrated from wherever. The ceiling of Galilee Church is so gorgeous. It's like, I don't know, 60 flags from around the world. And I know 8 or 9 of them. So, that's how much I know. And I wondered, when I was working for a civil rights organizations and civil liberties organization in Asheville and in Charlotte, we had passed or worked through their process to get policies that directed the county sheriffs not to cooperate with ICE or be part of 287G. And I wondered where we are in Mecklenburg County and what other counties we're in, because I'm in Cleveland County. And, can I get something together to protect people here from ICE? I'll sure try. So what county is?
Excuse me, George, if I
Uh-huh.
may. I looked up the sanctuary city question in Charlotte,
Yeah.
and we are not a sanctuary city. And it further says, back in time a little bit, that Charlotte is not cooperating with ICE.
That's right. And so
Aside
it
from,
says, is it still current? Because that was 2017 when we got they won't cooperate.
and I pulled up 2025.
Oh,
Now,
good. If it
yeah,
says not cooperating with ICE, then
there are a couple of articles. Um, let's see. I'm sorry, some aren't related.
no, you're fine. So
Okay.
Mecklenburg County's safe. I don't think Gaston County is, or Cleveland County is. Anybody else in another county?
I just have Mecklenburg at the moment. In January of this year, there's a headline here. It's on North Carolina Newsline. And the title is North Carolina Members of Congress introduce a bill allowing sanctuary cities to be sued.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
rely on us now.
Right.
Stuff like that. But I can check in another county if you guys want to go ahead, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Would that help?
So what county are where are you, Laura? Are you in Gaston County?
Hmm.
Sorry, I couldn't get the mute off. I am in Gaston County. If you would like for me to check the
Please.
status here, I would be glad to. I think that probably places like Mecklenburg and Wake are the only ones that have been able to get, that have big cities.
Yeah.
My suspicion is the same as yours about Cleveland County.
Right.
I think the sheriffs in these counties are much more likely to say that they're willing to cooperate and don't have elected officials to try to,
Yeah.
get an alternative to that point of view. But I could be stereotyping. I'm not sure, but I'll be glad to check officially.
Okay. And there may
Another
be a space to do some education around that, because
Yeah.
it is the federal government's job, not our county government or city government. So, you can make a case for people who want to be fiscally responsible to not use county funds for federal jobs. That's what we did back in 2017. And that's how we convinced Asheville to go along.
So
Yeah,
George,
that's a
it-
good point.
I'm sorry, go
Uh-huh.
ahead, Reverend Dr. Laura.
Well, I was just going to say that couple things based on my understanding. I do pastor a church part-time. I don't have any people in my church that I'm anticipating would face this, but I wanted to understand our denomination also had a event where the attorney for Western North Carolina for Methodist Church gave us information as well as what we learned in the event George was talking about, where we had an immigration attorney speak to one of our Poor People campaign events. And my understanding is that the way they've changed the rule that people cannot come into that they can now come into a sanctuary and arrest or detain someone. But I was of the understanding that, for example, if I took the person and put them in the church office, which is a
Right.
private space, not a public space, that I
Right.
could then say to the ICE agent or whoever, the sheriff, whoever it is, that, I do not have to release this person to their custody. The other thing that has happened is our denomination, the regional section, again, it's the Western North Carolina Conference of United Methodist Church, and 27 other religious entities have filed a lawsuit about the ruling that the federal government made that ICE can now come into sanctuaries to arrest or detain people, basically saying that, you know, it's wrong and should not be allowed according to freedom of religion for somebody who comes to church and is sitting in worship in a sanctuary building, that somebody can come in and arrest them like that. So
Right.
there are people trying to push back, including the denomination that I belong to, at least regionally. So I don't know if that helps, but it's just information that I have. I do think about the voting you were talking about earlier, that I'm not an expert on the lawsuit about the Supreme Court election, but I did volunteer during the lead up to the election on election day. And regarding the ID information, we were told that people, it is the law now that people are supposed to show an ID. That this is the first, election where that effort to never have that happen, it finally they succeeded in saying that you have to have an ID. But
Right.
the anybody who came in and did not have their ID was given an opportunity to vote and then produce their ID.
Right.
So I don't know if all those 65,000 votes that they're calling into question are based on ID stuff, but that was not supposed to be an obstacle to people voting. There were ways that you could fulfill that without ending up with your vote not being counted. They might have been considered provisional, but then after the ID issue would have been resolved, they should have been able to be counted.
That's
So
right.
anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
Well, good information. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering if other churches or other denominations will provide sanctuary services for migrants as well. I will get in touch with my church in Gastonia, St. Michael's Catholic, because you got to count on Catholics.
Mhm.
I
Amen
mean,
to that. Catholics really support immigrants. That's
that's right. They
absolutely.
better. And I'm going to see about the Catholic Church here in Shelby. Any of y'all from a different county than Mecklenburg, Gaston, or Cleveland on the call? Welcome, Verlon.
Hello.
Hello, where are you?
Hello. I got you. I hear you.
All right. Well, we want to know where you're from and how you're doing in like a minute.
Okay, Mecklenburg County. I'm doing well. I don't know what's the question was. I'm doing fine.
That's fine. That's good to know. Were
Okay.
you with us at Galilee, Verlon?
No, I was not.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
So based on it being the end of January when we got together, it'll be April when we do this again. And I wanted us to think about dates already. Yes, it's 3 months ahead, but it's planning works that way sometimes. So if y'all can look at your calendars, if you can pull up a calendar. If you can't, it'll be all right. So I'm thinking, what is April, the third week of April like?
I
So
think it's
far,
Easter weekend,
it is?
April 20th, and which is the third week of Easter or April.
April. No, April starts on the. Oh, yeah, you're talking about April 1st being a Tuesday. I'm looking at Sundays. The third Sunday is Easter Sunday. You're right. And these things have usually happened on a Sunday. The last Sunday is a new moon. New moons are always good to start projects. But do you think people will go ages ago, not ages, but some in some people's tradition, they go on vacation for the week of Easter and they're gone from Easter Sunday till the next Monday.
Mhm.
So if we planned on the Sunday after Easter, would it be bad timing? Either that or we have to do it early, like the first weekend. Second weekend is Palm Sunday. I don't play
I
with
think
Palm
it may
Sunday.
depend on, what school schedules are like.
Uh-huh.
I know in the past, some schools do the week from Palm Sunday to Easter, and
Yeah.
other schools start Easter to the following, you know,
Okay.
Sunday.
Well, will gather more information and then think about it in our next meeting. Um, and to think also about what will be some of the topics for the next meeting. I do think we carry over dealing with, food deserts and getting healthy quality food to people and the education system. Uh, those of y'all who are parents or might have kids in school may share how's the Mecklenburg County school system helping you? And if it's not, we need to think about what needs to happen as a response to the gaps in the education system. For what I heard at our last meeting, students don't have resources that should be available based on whatever the ruling was when I was much younger. Some kind of lawsuit based on the minimum that the North Carolina is supposed to do for children. You remember
Leandro.
Leandro? Yes. So they're not keeping up Leandro standards. So one thing could be how can we make sure they're doing that? And one thing that was a problem in low income areas, schools would not make the building available for the community. You couldn't have a community building in a school. They would not allow the school to stay open after certain hours, or they would not come back and reopen it. That seems to be something we can organize people to demand and win. So focusing on wins that we can create in this April meeting is important. And Tanyan, what kind of elections are coming up that we need to be paying attention to?
So the municipal elections will be coming up, of course, later on in the year. And as a part of some of the work that we do with the political action committee is we'll have that information pretty well laid out. So I would definitely glad to share that at the next meeting in April.
Okay, good. Excellent. So people can plan.
Yes.
And do y'all track uh elections that are nonpartisan, like you know I don't
Yeah,
know.
we track everything. We track
Good.
everything and
So
have
there
it.
are several things that you don't have to be a Republican or Democrat to run for. And it's good to let people know that so that people may run for office. Not me, but somebody. Um, yes. If I wasn't such a troublemaker, I promise I'd run for office. But I am. Yes.
Those are the people that need to run for office. The good troublemakers, because we can get into good trouble. So
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm up with that, a debater or a persuasive people that, you know, can keep it in a conversation, you know.
That's good.
Yeah,
It's
without
something says
emotion.
it. Is this you, Miss Friday from 1982? I don't need that. No, never. Okay.
George, I looked up this article and just wanted to list these groups if I can.
Please.
The um, lawsuit sues the Trump administration, I think specifically the Department of Homeland Security, which is over ICE. It's Reform Judaism, the Episcopal Church, Presbyterian Church USA, the AME Church, Disciples of Christ, Church of the Brethren, Latino um, Baptist entity. It represents a lot of congregation. The Friends General Conference, which would be the Quakers, the Mennonite Church USA, Unitarian Universalist, Conservative Judaism, and United Methodist and United Church of Christ. So this is a very broad um, range of denominations
Mm-hmm.
and religions that are involved in this lawsuit, and they are, directly saying that it violates people's the First Amendment, the freedom of religion. I think is the way they're arguing it. So,
Good. That
Hmm.
is excellent because we can build on that. And in terms of having persuasive arguments, standing on the faith of a range of faith leaders gives you, moral authority. And you could go to these people who try to lay their hands on the Bible, like Trump and other Republicans, and say, we're doing what people of faith should be doing. Don't you want to join us? And if
yeah,
they say no, you don't call them out. You don't say you're a heathen and a scum, but they cannot argue with you when you're standing on the moral authority of 18 churches or whatever.
yeah, and I don't see, you were talking about your faith, and I don't see the Catholic Church listed here, but some of the first people to come out against his deportation order were Catholic bishops and
Yeah,
cardinals.
Hmm.
There's a lot of Catholics that leaders that spoke out about it right from the get-go.
excellent. All right. Well, I got my homework for our next meeting,
Yeah, me
figuring
too.
out.
At Gaston County for the uh, sanctuary status.
Thank you so much. All right. Any questions? Anybody have questions or comments?
I do, George. I'm just wondering, in April, that's going to be a Zoom meeting.
No, it's an in person.
It is in person.
It is
And
in
that's going to
person.
be,
And we also, well, food is incentive, but we might have a special food this time. We just had sandwiches and cookies and drinks
mm,
last time, but since it will be, Easter time or before, we might have deviled eggs and other stuff. I don't know. We'll figure it
oh,
out.
that's going to be around Raleigh. It usually is.
No, it'll be in Charlotte at Galilee Ministries.
Oh, oh my goodness, that's great.
Yeah,
All right, I'll
we can
put that on
handle up
the
to
website.
about 50 people. We want as many people to come as we can get there. So we want
Wonderful.
all y'all to come and bring your people and resources to make sure we're sharing all the resources. It's about building relationships and building power so that we can change, not based on the minimum, but based on what people really need to fight
Mhm.
some of these conditions. of poverty, racism, militarism, ecological devastation, false moral
Yeah.
narrative, or religious nationalism. Oh, goodness.
I do have another question since I'm new here.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are within our possibly Democratic group, are there any progressives or Democratic socialists here? I'm one, and so I'm wondering.
I know that we do have, the Poor People's Campaign is nonpartisan, and I am vehemently against both parties. So, you and I'll have a fight if you want
That's
to.
understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, because, the Republicans have always tried to manipulate black people, and the Democrats just take black people for granted. So, yeah. Um, but of our members, there are progressives, there are DSA folks, not maybe on tonight's call, but on future calls, and certainly on our list of the people in the Southern Piedmont area. There are many DSA members. So
And
you
I
can,
see that there are groups online too.
yeah,
You know,
that's right. That's
I'm
right.
just feeling alone a lot politically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so one of
Sorry.
the things I would jump into and say is that the Poor People's Campaign is nonpartisan. There are people from a variety of, perspectives, tend to be, liberal to progressive, but also, you can be active in I mean, in a political party, which I am, but we keep that separate. Like, it's not part of being part of the Poor People's Campaign, and we don't endorse candidates, and we don't take, stands from, a political party perspective. We have our own, perspectives that we're putting out there. And as far as the organization, the way it's constructed, you were asking about where things take place. The Southern Piedmont Circle, which is what we are, we're kind of like the local branch in the Charlotte area. As George is describing, our in-person events usually take place at Galilee
Okay.
Ministries. When you are talking about the events in Raleigh, those are usually the statewide Poor People's
I'm
Campaign.
sorry. I gotta go.
Oh, see you next time, Allison. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Thanks so much, Laura. Without Samantha here, it was great to have you to help make sure we got good information across, because I may not have done it since I sat here for 5 hours with my computer reading 1219 and didn't worry about it.
Well,
Marianne, is there something?
I don't know if I'm helpful or not, but I'm trying to be. Anyway, that's my intent. Thanks.
Good, I got it. Is there something
No,
you
I
wanted to
think that
say,
was very
Marianne?
helpful.
Good.
Did you have a comment you wanted to make, Marianne?
Oh, sorry. I just was saying Dr. Laura was very helpful, I think, to clear that up for folks that are new,
She is.
because I'm still relatively new.
Mhm.
I did have a thought about the next event, and would it make sense for us, once we decide on the collaborators that will be attending and talking about their areas of mission or expertise, whatever, would it make sense to invite folks like from the county commissions of our respective towns or cities?
Well,
People that
you
have influence, just to come and help educate them. Are they really in touch with their constituents?
they're probably not, but we don't have elected people at our events, or people, if they're elected in their nonpartisan office, like, the dog catcher or the school board, something, but generally not. But we can encourage people to go visit them,
Okay.
to go to your county commissioners meeting, to go to your city council meeting. Every time, if you have a message, you can talk during the public talking
Mhm.
space, and that's a good time to do it. I've done that in Charlotte in the past. No
Okay.
more.
I
Um,
just didn't know if that was practical or
yeah.
needed.
There's one other thing I've got to say about the next time we're at Galilee. One of the areas in which we were negligent our last time is reminding people of the atmosphere we're trying to create as we're working together and different people's roles in that. Uh, there was a negative interaction with a person of color who may have been gender non-binary, and they felt not particularly seen and therefore disrespected by a white person.
Oh.
And and it's it exists. White supremacy is real. It's everywhere. It's in the air we breathe. You cannot be a white person and not be fallen prey to it. Even if you're the grooviest white person there is, you still have some white supremacy. If you haven't worked on it and be able to identify it and say, I, you know, weed you out of my subconscious, then something's going to come out sometime that someone will take in not a way you intended. And so, one of the things that we need to do the next time we get together at Galilee, and probably every time, is to remind people of some agreements we make, some, guidelines that we agree to in terms of keeping people together. And uh, uh, we will address those and have them all set up before we come together again. I should have said that earlier in this call, but I'm just remembering it now that we're about time to say goodbye. Does everybody understand that? I gave a very short answer. But way back in one of our first meetings at Galilee, I talked about this concept. We showed a clip. There's a clip, you can find it on YouTube, called The House You Live In. It's from a PBS documentary from years ago called Race, the Power of an Illusion. And the house you live in, often when people, talk about racism, like they talk about racism a lot. But one thing that you hear is, this is a country of immigrants. People pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. Yeah, if you got bootstraps. But during the follow up to World War II, returning GIs got the GI Bill. And that GI Bill paid for most people's down payment for their homes. So that returning GIs, a middle class was created with the money from the GI Bill. Black soldiers returning did not get the GI Bill. So you have an infusion of money to some people during the late 40s, early 50s, and denied other people during that same period of time. And the house you live in explains that, created this wealth gap that has not been overcome since, and in pretty much can't be overcome because it's in the system. At the same time, redlining was going on, denying Black people mortgages, and slums were created in the inner city. Yeah, it's a very telling. I think it's maybe 5 or 6 minutes. So that was early on in our uh, community building as a circle in Galilee, but we have taken too much for granted, and that can happen when you're dealing with things like oppression and privilege. Because everybody has privilege. It's just different kinds, and how do you use it strategically to remove barriers that exist for people who don't have that privilege. So, we each can make an assessment of where you have privilege, and therefore you can offer that privilege. Um, I'm a US citizen, I'm heterosexual, I'm fairly able bodied. I mean, I can get by. I went to college, and I think that's probably all. But, I could probably think of some more if I spent time thinking about it. So, anything else on people's hearts or minds? It's 7:28. We meet again
George,
in, yeah.
George, sorry, it's Marianne again. I'm interested in talking with you at some point about the food desert issue.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be tonight, so or if you've got a couple extra minutes after the meeting ends, I'll be glad to discuss it then.
Uh, I'd rather you email me your phone number and I give you a call
Okay, all right.
tomorrow. Cool?
Do you mind giving me your email?
Sure. It's GEO 4 REALDEM, Geo for real dem, at Gmail.
And 4 is the number 4
The
or
number 4.
FOR? Okay.
It's Geo the number 4.
Okay.
Real dem.
Geo4
Real
real
dem.
dem at
Yep. Gmail.
Gmail. Okay. I have Gmail also, so I
Good.
will send that to you.
Hard to believe I'm not a Democrat with that email address. But no.
Yeah, well, I gave up on both parties a while ago too. I'm unaffiliated, so
There you
I'm with
go.
you.
That's what it says. You means you can vote in all the primaries. That's kind of cool. All right. We'll see y'all in a couple weeks. Thanks for coming. And I recorded this, so I will send the recording to everyone who registered. So you'll get a recording. Thanks a lot for coming. Take
Thanks,
care.
George.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.